What's up, guys? Coach Scott Yurgz here, back from a little hiatus from making some videos because our club, the Philadelphia Cricket Club, was busy hosting the 9th ever USGA 4-ball championship. Now, the course was fantastic and the play was really good, and we saw some really good world-class amateur golfers here at the club. One of the things I noticed that they do, or maybe they don't do, is shift their weight back. And we're going to talk today about how we do it properly so you can be the best golfer you can be. Let's do it. So one of the things I see every single day on my lesson tee is when an amateur golfer begins their golf swing, they take the club back and they shift their weight as far back onto this trail leg as humanly possible. So they make this backswing, they shift their weight back and they get to the very top of their backswing and they stop, and then they come down and they try to make their downswing. So they go backswing, 100% of their weight gets to their trail foot. Sometimes it even rolls a little bit outside of their trail foot. And then they go on this journey of trying to figure out how to get back to their front foot, because most really good players are going to get all the way to their lead side at impact. So what is it that we have to do, and how do we transfer our weight appropriately? So one of the things we saw at the US 4 ball from some of these great ball strikers was when they would take the club back, yes, some weight would shift to the trail foot, but how much and when? When does that happen? What we know as golf professionals, and we can measure this, is that yes, some weight moves to that trail side, but not nearly as much as you think. And it happens way sooner than you would actually like to normally do. So when I take the club back, what's going to happen is I'm going to be shifting my weight to my trail side, but some of that is because my arms and hands and club have some weight to them. We would call that a moment arm. And as I get to about P2 or halfway back, or maybe club parallel to the ground, I'm going to start moving my weight more forward already. So what you're going to notice is my backswing is still happening as my weight is already moving forward. So I don't just make a backswing, stop, make a downswing and stop. I blend it all together. So I make my backswing, I start moving forward, the backswing's still happening up here, and then it comes down. Think of this as when a pitcher throws a ball off a mound. They're going to step with their trail foot, their weight's here, correct? They start moving it forward, and as they're moving forward, their arm is now moving backwards. It creates a bit of a slingshot effect. So sometimes you might hear this be referred to as recentering. That is exactly what we're going to do. But that sounds really complex. How am I going to shift back a tiny bit and then keep the backswing going and then move forward? Guess what? We got some drills for that. So here's what we're going to do. Get yourself a kettlebell, and we're going to talk about drill number 1. All right, now before we do some real heavy lifting, do me a solid, hit the subscribe button, like the video, comment, ask some questions. It's always great to hear from the guys and gals that are watching my videos. Now, let's talk about this kettlebell. So how in God's name are we going to make this kettlebell turn into a golf swing? So what we're going to do is we're going to start to move a little bit better. So take your golf club, toss it on the ground. You don't need this thing. And I want you to hold your kettlebell. And I got this one from Five Below. It was $5. And you're going to hold on to it like a golf club, kind of cradle it. If you don't have a kettlebell, grab a milk jug, fill it with water. Anything that you can do to keep this simple. And you're going to hang your arm straight down. You can see from a down the line view, I have my golf posture. And all I want you to do first is just start to swing the weight a little bit with your shoulders. And you're going to feel the weight of that kettlebell is going to take you a little bit into your trail foot. And now if I said go a little bit bigger on both sides, what'd you notice? As I got my arms to go back to take the momentum of this kettlebell forward, I started moving forward significantly sooner than if I did what an amateur golfer does that hits the ball poorly, that goes all the way back and then all the way through. In fact, if I try to do that and put a little velocity or force into it, if you notice, it was really difficult if I moved myself backwards and the kettlebell backwards to find the kettlebell and toss it back to the golf ball. And if you notice, I actually hung backwards. Got a little bit of breeze here. When you go all the way back and you try to throw it from back here, guess what you're going to do? If you had a golf club in your hands, you're going to give the old flipsy-do. You're going to probably like jam the club into the ground. You might even miss the ground and hit the golf ball. No good. We want to practice taking it back and feeling like we're going to toss it as far as we can forward. And that's going to be exactly what I need you to do. So you can do this at home. You can get yourself a little kettlebell, throw it in the car. Maybe this is your warm-up routine prior to a round. From there, take note of your footwork. If you notice, I'm actually lifting my feet up so I can feel the loading and unloading. You also probably notice that I'm not going anywhere. My head is not going backwards. It's also not really going too far forward. So as you do this, keep that golf ball or that divot that I have there right under your nose and continue to practice that way. When you get the feel for that, what I want you to do is I want you to pick up that golf club that you have, get a golf ball there, and I want you to make some practice versions of this. And I want you to make some swings. And I want you to move your feet around. If you notice, I am shifting per se, but I am not visually moving. There's a difference between weight and pressure. Kind of gets a little convoluted in the science, but quite honestly, yes, there is some pressure that moves around, but we are not moving around physically from side to side. So when I set up to this golf ball, I'm gonna have 60% of my weight on my front foot, 40 on my back. And what I'm gonna do is as my arms get to about my knee, I'm actually going to stomp my foot down. And that is as back as I'm gonna make my backswing. And then from there, I'm gonna move everything forward. And the goal is to be able to offload that back foot and get completely on the lead side. So your job is work on your kettlebells, transition that into a smaller version of the swing, feeling the footwork, feeling that push, feeling that drive a little bit sooner than you're used to, and then turn them into big full swings. And what you're gonna notice is you might notice the ball flight come down a fraction because you're actually launching that ball with a little bit of forward shaft lean and maybe the dynamic loft comes down a bit. This is going to be a really, really helpful drill for players that take their backswing, go all the way back, and then have to find a way to go all the way through. And it's really hard to do that. It's almost impossible. So take your time, work on the drills, and hit me up over the following week before you see the next video. Leave some comments and ask some questions. A lot of ways to do this, but your job is to make sure by the time you get to impact, all your weight is on that front foot. Having that kettlebell available is going to be an absolute game changer for you. All right, thanks. See you next time.